Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hometown TCG. You guys know me. My name is Josh.
Josh, what's up, dude? My name is Louie.
We are here with
Kitchen.
yo go
Oh,
oh,
I'm
oh,
just gonna plug my channel. So, Kitchen
oh.
Table TCG.
At this point, dude, if people don't know who you are,
Oh, stop.
they're crawled out from under a rock. So way
That's not
back
true.
when we started Hometown TCG, Louie kind of introduced him. Well, actually, we reached out to him and kind of said, "Hey, how you doing? We're in the content creation space. Give us advice. Bow down." And he actually interviewed us. He did this whole video on his channel where he kind of talked to us about kind of what we were doing with the channel, our gameplay, what got us into FaB, and we said we'd repay him. And then we got busy. We just never have.
Repay me for what? We had a conversation as a community.
repay repay
we were
use the
having
wrong that's the wrong word, but we wanted the chance to flip the script and ask you the questions and put you under the microscope because that's awkward for us, man.
I like it, man. It's fun. I like talking and all of this community, man. So, anything we can do to help people understand each other, I think is good.
Oh yeah, you're the least understandable and least relatable guy in the entire world, so I think this is gonna
Wow.
be good. Yeah.
I wasn't
Nobody can
expecting that.
relate. You made a joke about my mom earlier. I'm firing off in this thing.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, but you're an hour and a half late to recording this podcast, this video.
Hey, listen, we don't need to be spitting any kind of fact here. We can just keep it with this. So anyway, let's just kick this off and tell us about yourself, man. Who is Louie and who was Louie before Kitchen Table TCG and before FaB?
I don't know how far. I mean, there was darkness, and then I was crying in a room.
Yeah, no, I want
like,
all the way back. I want
there was-
nursery. I want.
There was there were two parents all around, and I think my sister may have been there. I don't doubt it. No, I don't know, man. I'm from Ohio. You want like personal background, like
Whatever you want to tell, man.
I come from, I don't know.
What's your gaming background? Let's go with that.
My
What's your gaming background? Yeah.
All right. I'm not used to being on this side of the conversation.
This is great for me, just watching you fumble through that. You're always so on point. It's great to be on the other side of this. I might get a coffee.
I do not like talking about myself. My gaming background, I was like a Pokemon collector when I was the kid who, when your friends were hanging out collecting Pokemon cards, I was the one that was like, hey, like, guys, this is a game, we can play this too, let's play. And everybody was like, we don't know how to do that, we just like looking at the cards and putting them in our bikes.
No, don't put them in your bikes. Those are worth like thousands of dollars now.
My friends were super into football, and I was a huge baseball. My dad moved to Massachusetts when I was 5, and so I was a huge Red Sox fan, like absolutely biggest Red Sox fan. I was in a Boston magazine as like the biggest Red Sox fan in Ohio.
Wait,
right?
you were in a magazine?
I was in a magazine, yeah, when I was like 7 or 8, or I don't know.
From
whenever.
young age, fame came early to Louie. I can see it now, dude. I'm gonna write this documentary. I'm getting famous.
So like I didn't like football, but my friends, I wanted them to learn how to play trading card games because I wanted to play Pokemon. So I bought these intro decks for a game called NFL Showdown because I thought, hey, like they like football, I like trading cards, I can merge those two things, and then they'll want to play Pokemon with me. But that never worked.
So you were the let's grow the lore further. You're the drug dealer of TCGs. You just get them, give them a taste. You get them hooked. Yeah. First one's free.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right.
But I was like the worst drug dealer ever.
Nobody played.
Yeah, it was great. So then I don't know, man. Pokemon. I think one time I bought a box of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but like I didn't have. I didn't grow up poor or anything like that, but like my mom was a single mom, so we would go to Target and she'd let me go hang out in the trading card aisle while she shopped and for things, and then she'd come back and like we didn't have the money to buy Pokemon cards, so we bought like the Topps Pokemon cards. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it was like, so I remember opening Topps packs in the car, and which is, sorry, I didn't mean that to come across as like that's a very privileged thing. Like that alone in America is a privileged thing, right? To have any card. So
right.
So it was cool. It was great, and that's kind of what I fell in love with was Pokemon. And then I didn't do any TCGs in high school at all. I was chasing girls, and I was playing Well,
You were playing
uh,
baseball, you said?
yeah, I played baseball until
Okay.
like my sophomore year of high school, and then got involved with some different stuff. Kind of changed the course of my life. Got involved with some. I don't want this to get like religious or anything, but got
Sure.
involved at a church and kind of changed that kind of side of my life. And then went to a college, and I was actually an RA. This was continuing on the TCG world now. I was an RA, a resident assistant in a college dorm room
Yeah.
at a Christian college, and my RD, the guy who was my boss, was like, "Hey, dude, so I made a mistake. I bought these things called magic cards." I was like, "Okay, like,"
Oh no.
and he was like, "I can't. I was gonna give them out at the school, but like I'm not allowed. Like they're
Yeah.
it just wouldn't be cool, whatever." And I was like, "Okay, so what do you want me to do?" He's like, "Well, you have a really good way of building community. I thought maybe you could use these to build some community on your floor." I'm thinking like he has like 4 or 5 decks or something. I'm like, "Okay, like I'll take a look." He gives me probably like a 24 by 24 by 24 square box, like a 2 foot, like a giant,
You
this
got the
giant
white
square
box of
box.
glory.
I'm talking like probably, I don't know, probably 700 to 800 Magic the Gathering starter decks, like all from like, I think it was 20. Let's see, it would have been like 2010, like 2010 starter decks,
Okay.
and it was cool. So like I was like, what do I do with these? And a guy on my floor was like, oh my gosh, I love Magic the Gathering, and so he taught me how to play.
Okay. So you had an
I
in.
Yeah, that was it. And so like from that night, like I remember the first night I played Magic the Gathering, like it was last night. Like I woke up this morning, and like last night I had played my first game of Magic the Gathering. I literally played a game. We had a whole like big hangout in our college dorm room, and we played a game like that night. I was like, how do I build a deck? He was like, go to TCG Player. And I went to TCG Player, and I was like, what the hell? These cards are expensive. What is going on?
Dude, that's like
So
sick advice right off the bat though.
yeah. So like I went to TCG Player, and I just like bought like 5 cards, and they were like, I was like, I'm not spending more than $1 on a card ever in my life. Um,
To
so anyway, it just
quickly
like
cover up the wall
it
behind
went,
you. Like
yeah. It got really bad, and we ended up playing. There was probably so this was like before Commander. Like I think Commander came out what, 2014, something like that.
I think it was a
This was like,
little, maybe a little sooner than that, and it was Eternal Dragon Highlander, right? It
yeah,
was
EDH.
EDH, yeah.
But like there wasn't Commander pre-cons,
Right,
is what
right,
I
yeah,
mean.
yeah, yeah.
Like we like literally just hung out in the dorm room and like would build these random decks, and like, what happened was we would be hanging out and playing, and somebody else would be like, "Oh my gosh, I have Magic cards at my house." And they'd show up with like a tote, everyone has like a tote of
Yeah.
cards, and we just shared them. Nobody
Shoe
cared at
boxes.
all.
Yeah.
Nobody cared at all what the value was. And then all of a sudden people cared what the value was, and we started digging cards out. But we had like basically mixed all of our cards, so we just like shared this whole pool. It was great. It was fun. um
So that's
and
so
then
that, so that got you hooked then.
yeah, oh dude, I was hooked. Like we played Magic the Gathering every single night. There were 6 to 10 of us playing for 2.5 years.
Okay.
We played from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. I would say 5 nights a week. We played like,
Jeez.
it's like I was an RA, so like I was in charge of like creating community, and so like
Right.
I used it to create community. It's a
It's a
lot
great
of like what I
excuse.
it's a lot like what I do now in my, on my Discord server, but in a college dorm room.
But
Um,
okay, so
yeah,
you're in college here though, and here's the thing. This is what my brain. I just get curious, right? So this was Louie in college, create this community, Magic the Gathering, all this. Now, just looking at you, you're clearly not in college. You look so much older. Like you have just not aged well. It's rough. So there's been a lot of time in between like that and there. So what happened, man? Where'd it go?
so I got married, and I sold all my cards. I've sold
Oh,
my Magic collection, I think, 4 times now.
okay.
Yeah.
So you're like the
I,
all like all of us.
there's like 4 times of getting involved back with Magic again. So I sold my cards, got married, and then I worked at a church. So I've worked at a church for the last
Hmm.
7 years, and I was doing I was hanging out with high school students, and one of the high school students was like, I want to learn how to play Magic the Gathering. I was like, oh, I know how to do that. And so I like got on Facebook Marketplace, and I bought like a bunch of lots, and like that's when I started getting into like the financial side of it. I would buy these lots of Magic cards and sell them to high school kids for like 15 times what I paid for them.
All
Not
right.
just joking.
So back to your drug dealing ways. No, that's what we expect. That's fine.
I would just buy lots and then just make decks out of stuff to
Freaking
teach
Rudy
people how to play.
Jr. over
Yeah.
here.
I would
Okay.
just teach people how to play. And so that's how I got back into it. And
You
then
you said the two most relatable things in the entire world that you've told in your story already is my parents used to drop me off in the TCG aisle, but wouldn't let me buy any packs. I think everybody here relates to that exact sentence. And I sold my Magic collection like 4 times. Those 2 sentences, I think everybody's done already.
everyone. Yeah.
Okay, so is that
Yeah.
why you started Kitchen Table TCG? Was it because you gotten back into it working at the church and hanging out with kids, or was it just I don't know, is that a whim?
No. So I Kitchen Table TCG came from when War of Spark came out. I started taking a couple of kids to a local game store. I had never been, so I had gone to one local game store before this in my life.
Okay.
And I brought one of those janky decks that we had made in our college dorm room to a Magic the Gathering standard night.
Oh
and
no.
I brought this like 5-color Bringer of the Red Dawn, Bringer of the Black Dawn, Magic the Gathering deck. I think it probably had like 75 cards in it
Oh no.
to a standard event, and like sat down, paid and registered and played, and like played my first card, and they were like, "That's not legal." I said, "I don't know what that means."
It's a Magic card. It's real. I
I
swear.
was like, "What do you mean?" I bought it on TCG Player. He's like, "This is a stand." I had no clue. So I didn't go back to the store. So then, flash forward back to like being an adult. We went to I went to my first pre-release ever for War of Spark, and I just fell in love with that set. And I had started watching Rudy's videos, so like I got involved in like the War of Spark debacle with the uncut sheet and all that thing. So like I just dove straight into the whole world.
Okay.
And so I wanted to I wanted an excuse. I wanted to record opening packs, so I made a Instagram account.
Is that the not Kitchen Table TCG account now?
Yes.
I stumbled upon that account and I saw just all this War of the Spark content. I was like, who is this not Louie person? Okay, so it's you.
Recently my Facebook got hacked, right? And it like got my
Sure.
it was I won't say what it is because it'll get demonetized, but my Facebook got hacked and my Instagram got blocked, and so I had to create a new one.
Don't worry about monetization. We don't make any money here anyway. So.
It was ISIS. They like changed mine. They like changed my Facebook to the ISIS flag. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No,
wow.
This is like a real thing. Like a bunch of other people. It happened to like 10,000 people, and I just happened to be one of them.
That's horrible. That's like the worst hack.
Yeah, I know. So I got banned. I got everything. Anyway, so then eventually I got my account back because I don't want to get into it. Somebody who saw the video. Anyway, I got my account back, and then I had already created this new Kitchen Table TCG Instagram that had more followers. So that's it. Just kind of
you cheated. Anyway. You shortcutted instead of going back to the original. The people who started, got you there. You're like, screw those people. We don't need them. Yeah. No, I understand. I see how you operate.
So anyway, I didn't have a YouTube channel, and then I sold my Magic collection like 3 more times in there somewhere. And then when COVID hit, I just, I had always been watching Rudy videos, and COVID hit, and I was in a Facebook group with some people, and they were like, "Hey, you should buy." We were all investing in card games. They're like, "Hey, you should buy these Arcane Rising boxes."
Okay.
I was like, oh, okay. All card games fail. I had like a commander group at this time. They were laughing at it, and so I bought a case. I ended up buying a case of Arcane Rising for like $440. Yeah.
Standard, whatever.
Yeah. And then, I just kind of wanted to I want to open it, but then everybody was like, no, don't open it. And so then I bought Crucible of War, and then I opened Crucible of War, and then I heard that the Arknight Shard was a $700 card. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I pull a $700 card, I have to have a video of it. And so I just started recording and putting those videos up, and got just a little following. It was never supposed to be anything. And then, so I actually went to my LGS, and before this, I went to my LGS, and I was like, hey, can you order Flesh and Blood? He's like, I don't want to carry another game.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, well, tell me how much it costs, and I'll pay you to buy it now, and you can see if you can get it. And so I gave him like, I don't remember. I don't remember what the deal was, but he like basically was like, I just need to make the same that I make on Magic the Gathering. And so I gave him like $500, and he got me a bunch of Crucible War First Edition, and boxes were $75 at that time or
Right.
something like that.
Yep.
So that's kind of how that all started. And then one day he was like, "Hey, I can't get boxes anymore." I was like, "What?" He's like, "I can't get boxes anymore." And so then I made a video that was like, "Hey, I can't get boxes of Crucible anymore, and I think it's going out of print." And then like 3 days later, Rudy made a video that was like, "Crucible War is out of print," and that's when the channel started like being like, people were like, "Oh my gosh, did you see this guy? He knew about this early." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know about it
I
early."
didn't know about her. I just asked. I was buying stuff and I couldn't buy stuff. Dude, your
Yeah.
story is eerily similar to John and I. We had gotten into like COVID hit, and I would be always sitting upstairs, in my living room, and I was watching Rudy videos and stuff, and I was like, oh, I haven't played Magic in years. It was like M21 and Ikoria were like and just like you, I had been in and out of Magic like all the time. I was in code school like down south, and I'd go to pre-release events just to play because I didn't have any cards or anything anymore.
Right.
So limited was what I want, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy these boxes, and I kept going down to my LGS, and I'd buy a box of cards for $100, and then I'd sit there and I'd sit and Kristen would watch her shows or whatever she's watching, and I'd open packs of cards. And she's like, how is this entertaining for you? And I was just blown away. I was like, this is just the most amazing thing. And then John
were
and
these
I
FaB cards or Magic?
these were Magic cards, and John found Flesh and Blood through like a connection of his, and he was like, we were playing Commander at the time, but they were all new. The other three people were new to Magic, so playing Commander with precons with a bunch of people that are new to Magic is so slow. It's
not super fun.
No. And so he's like, you got to learn this game Flesh and Blood. And I was like, I don't want to play another card game. I'm spending like $100 every couple of weeks on these boxes, and that is like so much money to me. I'm never spending more than $100. I can't play another game. I can't do it.
It doesn't matter that you spend $100 every week. You're just never spending more than $100.
I'm never spending more than $100 every. Like, I can't fathom that. I already felt guilty about like spending the $100 on Magic product. Like, I felt so bad. I was like justifying it internally. And then FaB hit, and we had a chance to get we put in an order when the prices of things, because John and I we've always been very business oriented people, like finance oriented. Like, that's just how my brain works. That's why the $100 is like, but we had a chance to put in an order for like 40 cases of Welcome to Wraith Alpha as it was like going out, and we're like, yep, get us in. And that was the day, I think it was it Channel Fireball that bought up like the United States, like all the distributors, they like bought them out. They had this huge like 1,000 case purchase or whatever it was. It was like the same day or whatever it was. And so we got shafted, like our order was canceled. But yeah, we tried to like do it. What?
Thanks Channel Fireball.
Dude, whoever it was, we tried to do it and we just got scooped by the big guy. But we were like, okay, that's fine. Unlimited stuff was coming out and stuff. So we started like, we'd buy a box and then a bunch of us would get together and we'd play limited, we'd play sealed, or we'd play draft.
Oh, that's cool.
Dude, it was so much fun. So yeah, we started pretty much the same way. And then what made you stick around? So FaB was rough for me to start. I don't know if you heard the story. FaB was rough for me at the start.
I have not heard this story.
Dude, I got my butt kicked. John was teaching me.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're horrible.
No, but like, we played, it was like days. He would come over every day and teaching me to play FaB and teaching me to play FaB. And I didn't win for like, it was days. I think it was like 18 or 19 games in a row or something until I won a freaking game. Oh, do you know how hard that is? Because the games take so long. You're going so slow and you're just getting your butt kicked back and forth. I almost quit like 3 times. I was so close.
Yeah. So, I mean, my experience was different. Like, so when I got involved with FaB, Unlimited wasn't out yet.
Okay.
It was just Crucible first. And I wasn't going to open the ARC boxes because I knew they were going to be I wanted them to be worth money. That was always an investment.
Yeah.
Crucible was like, it was cheap, whatever. But then also, like, we were in the middle of COVID and we had I don't know how old my daughter was. She had to have been like 7 months, a year. I don't know. I can't remember how far away that was, but like my daughter would have been, we were like worried about COVID. Like, we weren't like we were worried about COVID, so we didn't do anything. We didn't
Yeah,
go anywhere.
you're being
Occasionally, I had
responsible adults.
yeah.
God, how dare you?
I'm not trying to make this into a COVID thing, but
Yes.
occasionally we would have my Magic the Gathering commander group over. Um, but like most, like there wasn't like this. I wasn't going to LGSs. I wasn't
Right.
doing all that stuff. So it was just cracking packs. And like I had this buddy of mine, Robbie, and like we would try to make decks, but we didn't have. I had no W2R. I had no ARC. I was just using crew, and we
Oh
would try to
no.
make decks, and it's not possible. It's just not. And you
No.
couldn't even get the hero decks, right?
No.
Like the hero decks were expensive. Actually, that's not true. I'm sorry, I just lied. We actually did have we had two of the hero decks, but we got that like after we had started opening Crucible.
Okay. So
And
you
then
got to
also,
like augment them, which is cool.
well, also like we had no clue what we were doing. We also didn't understand the
Heck.
difference between Blitz and Classic Constructed. So we were using Classic Constructed decks, but playing with Blitz life totals.
That's
And like
awesome.
we thought there was no difference. I was like, no, it's all the same. It's just a different life total to make the game faster. Like I had no clue. And then on top of that, like I'm not a good TCG player. I'm a Kitchen Table TCG player. That's why the name's Kitchen Table TCG. And so like I'm trying to teach Robbie, who is a worse player than me.
I hope he watches this.
I don't think Robbie ever won a game of Commander in our entire Commander group history. Like I'm trying to teach Robbie how to play this game that I don't know how to play by watching YouTube videos
of people who don't know how to play.
Of people who don't know how to play. Nobody knew how to play. Like nobody had any clue how to play.
Right.
Well, that's not true. New Zealanders knew how to play.
That's very apparent. Yes.
Yeah. So like it was just different. And then all the content back then, it was like people playing the game but not explaining the cards. There was no card images.
No.
And nobody knew how to play. So like it was just hard.
And what is it? Rudy was just, when he would talk about it, he wasn't really talking about the gameplay about it, right? He was mostly talking about the investment and the growth of the game and the fact that it's catching on. His whole shtick is like he doesn't play the game.
Honest to God, I didn't buy a single Rudy bundle until the Crucible War bundle when he sold it for $1,500 because I'm an idiot. So I didn't buy any. Like Rudy's not what got me into it. It's more like the community that I was involved in online is what got me into it. I got the Rudy card. Mine's graded a PSA 9, so I was kind of bummed about that.
You're an idiot. Yes, just you. You are the only idiot. Sorry. Go ahead.
So yeah, that's how I got involved. Yeah, I mean,
dude, I mean, it's...
I think you said what is it that you knew? I don't know, man. I think for me it was the community. I hadn't played a game. I was doing those lore videos.
Okay.
Like I hadn't played a game, but like the community. I think it was a place in my life where I really needed like something. Like COVID was going on. Like there was no like I didn't have close friends anymore because nobody was doing anything, and like I just kind of found this community online and
this is not a negative thing either, but like you're a husband, you're a father, and those things take like a metric crap ton of energy, and they take so much of like yourself and all of you that you start to lose like who Louie was before all that. Like you start to lose it. So it's nice to have something to be like, okay, this is something I can hold on to that's like me. This is my thing. I like this. This helps make me who I am.
Yeah. For sure. So like I think it was the community that really brought me into it, and it was like people were just excited and there was no drama. It was all like everybody was just like, hey, this is a really cool game. The artwork's really cool. The it's new. There's
Dude, everyone's still super positive. It's insane. I was just at the calling in Cincinnati, and I would beat someone. I came up against, I think it was a couple Kitchen Table or Team Kitchen Fable guys that are like really competitive, and ended up getting the better of one of them. And he was just like this super, like, hey, sometimes it happens. This was awesome. And he was being highly competitive. I was like, oh, dude, this is so cool to see someone who's got these aspirations, but also just enjoys being around everyone. You're totally right.
Yeah. And so it was good. It was just that's kind of what drew me into it, was the community and the people. And then I mean I just got sucked into it. I mean the truth is like the content really sucked me in more than anything. Like after that video, after that video with Crucible, like people started watching the channel, and like that's freaking addicting. It's addicting when people watch your videos and comment. Like it's amazing how addicting it is, and it made me want to make more content, and that made me want to be in the game.
Right. It's like a parasite. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. One thing grows, you're like, oh, and then it requires this thing. Then you dig into that. So you fell down the rabbit hole too. Then it's like that first video comes up and you see like the view count. It's got 30 views, and you're like, really? 30 people watched this?
Yeah. I remember when I hit 100 subscribers, I was like, what? Like, I was like showing my wife. I was like, dude, look at this.
I did too. I cracked a beer. I was like, yes.
I heard you were handing out beer to people Halloween for trick or treat, the parents.
Well, yeah, we have kid trick or treat, we have adult trick or treat, right? So the kids get to pick out of one bowl, and the adults get to pick out of the cooler.
That is amazing.
Well, you know, they got to walk around with kids. Sometimes it's chilly, sometimes it's overly hot. They put all this effort into costumes. The least you can do is, give them a beer. So I'm a big fan of like, hey, we can bond over something, and like a casual offering a neighbor a beer is something that you can bond over.
Beautiful. I'm going to adopt your strategy.
We do a whole fire. Like, we do a fire outside this year. My buddy's been waiting to pick up this couch. The Hometown TCG gameplay studio, which is in the Hometown TCG offices, which, spoiler alert, is my basement.
Oh, I know.
We moved a couch out that my buddy's taking for that. And I keep badgering him to get it, and he wouldn't get it, so we drug it out to around the fire pit. We were sitting on a couch drinking beers by a fire, handing out candy. It was hilarious, dude.
That's awesome.
So I lost my train of thought, but it's addicting when you first see all these people. And then the coolest feeling, let me know if you had this, when you're like, okay, someone asked me for content. They're like, it would be really cool if you did a deck tech on this. And then you do it. And you see that same person come back and be like, oh my God, this content creator that I watch took the thing I asked for and made it.
Right.
Like, them coming back, the fact that they actually came back. I knew they'd asked for it, but they came back and watched it. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah. And so, like, that's exactly what happened with the collection tracker. Like, so Crucible went out of print, and like the next week when Rudy made the video, I was like, I wonder how much my Crucible cards are worth now. And so, like, I just like put what they were worth. Like, I made this crappy spreadsheet, a crappier spreadsheet. My spreadsheet now is still pretty crappy. I made this crappy spreadsheet, and I was like, this is what I paid, and this is what they're worth now. And like, I just was like, oh, I wonder what the entire box is worth as an EV. And like, I made a video about it, and I was just like curious. Like, I was 100%. It was just like me being curious about what it was. And somebody was like, hey man, you should make that. No, somebody said, hey, can I tip you for this video? And I was like, what does that mean? And he was like, you should make this, you should do this weekly and see how the things change. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. So that's like how the collection tracker started, was this guy. I don't even remember who it was, honestly. I have no clue. Like, I probably should know that. I hope he's still around. And so like, then it was just and that's kind of what the channel became known for. So it was never intended to be like a finance channel.
Sure.
And like, I try to grow away from that. I've tried to grow away from just finance content, as I've learned how to play a little bit. This is why I'm so excited for PvE, and I can't talk on a video without talking about PvE.
Oh, there's questions about it. Don't you worry.
I can't. I'm not good. I am not a good trading card player. And like, the fact of the matter is, I don't have the time. I probably do. I don't have the ability to get myself to take the time to become a competitive TCG player.
Dude, so there's teams and practice schedules and results tracking, and dude, it's a job.
Team Kitchen Fable practices like 3 times a week. Like, I'm in their Discord, but I never, like, I'm not there.
Right, and I'm just gonna throw out again that I took one down at the Calling Cincinnati. I'm not saying what that means, but I'm just saying
they were super nice to you. Hey, look,
Team Kitchen Fable super nice in the loss.
Team Kitchen Fable is all about the interaction with the community and how we lose and win with excellence.
Dude, those guys rock. I gotta tell you, every one of them that I've interacted with has just been great. We joke around a lot, but real talk, they're pretty freaking awesome.
That's the goal of the whole team.
That's why I like that they're separate from you, because then I can like enjoy being around them. And no, it's great. It's fantastic. No, we found out that whole thing. Someone asked us, they're like, hey, what about a team? And so we started putting like some stuff together, and John and I are trying to do as much as we can and stuff. And we still have our, our 9 to 5. We haven't gone full time yet. So it's oh man, it's so much work. We were trying to manage it ourselves. You just don't have the manpower. It's insane.
Yeah, I don't do that. That's all Sean. Sean manages the whole team. He does everything. It's all him. It's just my brand, and I pay for some things on the back end of it. Sean's amazing. And I think he likes that. I think he wants to do that, and I hope that sometime if the game keeps growing and whatever, the game can provide a way for teams like that to be financed and have
and go full time, like kind of move into the esports space almost, which would be sweet.
And that's the goal with Sean, and that's from the start was like, hey man, like I do have a channel, like maybe Sean was like a viewer of the channel. He's like, hey, I want to do this. I was like, you got my blessing. Take my name. Take advantage of it. Whatever that gets you, it gets you, and hopefully someday it gets him somewhere.
No, it's a cool channel. They're cool dudes for sure.
I was very upfront about being like, look, dude, this is your thing. This is my thing. That's your thing.
That's your thing, yeah. Yeah, we made the mistake and we're like, no, it's all our thing. And we're like, it's probably not. It's probably not our thing. This makes me think of, okay, because I saw now when you see Team Kitchen Fable, you think of like the Team Kitchen Fable and you think of Kitchen Table TCG. You see them at all these events. You see that because they have the jerseys on. Have you had like your first like content creator moment? Like what's the first time where you're like, oh, I'm a flesh and blood content creator and somebody might know who I am? Have you had a moment like that? I've given you a moment like that, so I know you have had at least one.
When have you given me a moment like that?
When I saw you in Vegas. I was like, holy crap, man, it's Louie.
I was more excited to see you in Vegas than you were to me.
I don't think that's true. I peed a little.
No, the only person I would rather see is Yazi. That's the only person I would rather meet in person.
I cannot wait to meet that man in person. I'm
gonna give him a hug.
I might pick him up. This gigantic bear hug thing and like lift him. I want to see if his legs kick. It's gonna be. I cannot wait. I'm like shaking thinking about it. It's gonna be insane.
I mean, yeah. So like, Vegas was like that. It was weird to have people come up and know me, and like I don't know you. Like that's what's weird about it is like I don't watch you every day. So like I don't know anything about you, but like you know me, I have kids, like it's just different. So that's weird. I would say more than that, it's weird to like when somebody asks me what I do that I know, being like, I'm a YouTuber.
Oh,
and
yes.
And like their view of what a YouTuber is this like massive success. Right, like
it's the Jake Pauls or whatever, and
I'm like, I have 5,000 subscribers, and they're like, oh, that's really good. I'm like, I don't know that you believe that, and I don't know that I believe that. Like, I don't know, like, I don't. Like,
I still don't know how to read the reaction from my wife. She asked the other day, she's like, oh, what are you guys up to? I'm like, yeah, we're approaching 3,100, and she's like, oh, that's great, and I'm like, are you proud or ashamed? Like I can't feel. I don't know.
It's like such a weird dynamic when you're like, but in a world our size, like a TCG world, that's a pretty big. It's a pretty big deal.
It's way more than I ever thought would listen to me and my buddies talk about something we're passionate about. I never thought in a million years. I always knew that I might not be well spoken, but gosh darn it, I'm loud. So someone will listen to me sooner or later, but that's too many.
Well, at least you got John. Like at least you got somebody good looking on your channel.
That's like 100%. That is.
Look, sex sells. Like you gotta plaster him on the photos of all thumbnails of all your videos.
He's got headshots, dude. Do you have headshots?
I don't have headshots.
The guy has done like acting gigs and modeling.
I have selfies that I took in here that I try to put on my videos to brand. That's all I got.
And then here's the bad part. So when you have someone else on the channel, you're always compared to somebody. And I'm a bigger, thicker dude. So when they see me in person, they're like, "Oh, you're not nearly as fat as you look on your channel." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks." Yeah. But that's twofold because they look at John because John's like 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
And people are like, "Oh, you're way taller in person than we thought you were." And John's like, "What?"
Yeah,
what do you
because
mean?
You're super tall.
Yeah, because he looks like 5'3" on the channel. So it's it's give and take. At least you only get compared to you.
Yeah. Hopefully people don't start comparing like me 6 months ago to me now because I'm definitely fatter and a little bit uglier. It's just like constant.
You're not. I don't know if you're ugly or, like I said, you definitely look older. Like I can tell. I can tell you aged.
I don't know if you're uglier, but you're definitely fatter. That's what I just heard in my head.
I didn't. No, I didn't say that. I out of the three, you, me, and John, I am the chunkiest of the content creators, so that's not my space. But I
Yeah,
carry it better because I have a gigantic frame. So I got that
I'm
going for me.
yeah. Let's not get into our body sizes right
That's
now.
okay. But so you've
Save the
had
viewers
content
for that.
creator moments. Did you when you met, like, okay, you said in Vegas, you met the professor, right?
Yeah.
Did you have like a good conversation with him, or was he kind of just like, oh, hey, it's great to meet you, goodbye?
It's probably I had done a video with the professor.
Okay.
So like I felt like I could just kind of go up and say hey to him. And I was vlogging the whole time. My secret for Vegas was like I'm just gonna have a camera in my hands the whole time, and that allows me to do whatever I
You
want,
really
right?
can. Yeah.
Like that allows me to, if I feel awkward in the conversation, or if I don't feel like talking to people, which is like I always feel like talking to people, but just in case I like had a bad day, which I can't imagine why that would do. I like losing the game's not going to do it for me. Like I don't care about that.
Yeah.
But like I was just like I can just vlog, and so like I just went up to the professor and I was like, "Hey man, I'm vlogging," and I asked him some questions and he answered. Like that's how I handled that.
I took
Um,
the opposite approach. I was like, hey man, I appreciate everything you do. Your inspiration. Thanks for all your help in the space. And he just looked
yeah,
at me like, you're welcome, you gigantic freak. Elbow bump. See you later. I was like, oh, super
yeah,
nice guy, but you could tell he's just had hundreds of people just
yeah,
constantly like taking photos with him and stuff. So,
yeah.
you're on your way there. You big channels. My only problem is you gigantic conglomerate channels always punch down on us little guys, and
Look, dude, you're like
it's
basically the same
it's
size as me.
it's we're not. It's demeaning. It's so
You're
just so
basically
you
the same
know, that's
size.
my one complaint I have about Kitchen Table TCG is you're just mean.
Yeah,
You're a bully.
I'm a, I have a terrible channel. I'll take it up with the bosses and see
You
what they say.
do not have a terrible channel. You're just a terrible human. No.
Oh, jeez.
So, okay, so you've
A
had,
little too far.
oh, is that what
You've
it
now
is?
hurt my,
Oh,
yeah,
oh, that's the
that was
line.
too far. That's the line.
That's
Yeah.
the line. Okay, so now
Get
I
that
understand the
line right
line.
there.
So, all right, if you're not, then what is something that you think is like the most misunderstood about like Louie or about Kitchen Table TCG when it comes to the TCG
gosh.
community? Like what like, give me like a highlight. What's the most like if you
This
could
is
like
like
look at
the
someone and be like, no,
opposite.
it's not the case, and shake
This is
them.
like this is like the opposite weekend to ask me that question. Like,
No, I caught you on a good day then. It's for the
uh,
content, man. People are gonna click on it.
I think people think I have more money than I do, and like more collection or like value. Like I don't particularly care about the flesh and blood. Sorry, that came off wrong. I care about the flesh and blood market for sure. But
Oh
like
no.
people think that I make up prices. People think that I'm pumping something or trying to dump something.
Right.
The only thing I have ever pumped in my entire channel is Cokes of Commotion, but I've been very upfront about that for 6 months that PVE is coming and that card is fantastic in
It
PVE
is
and
gonna
that
be
when PVA
bonkers in
comes,
PvE.
it's going to go up in value. I've been 100% transparent about it for 8 months, 6 months, eight, whatever. So like that's the only thing I've ever like really pumped. So like for me, I've always said like my investment is in this channel, like 100%. Like I have I have cold foils, I have box, I have my arcane boxes. I actually sold one of the arcane boxes when it hit $500 to pay for my investment.
Okay.
Um, so like I have what I have, but like what I care about is the channel,
Right.
and so like that's why I always like I don't have any cards to pump. I just want to be honest about it because if I get caught pumping cards or whatever, like that's gonna decredit me and like it's just not worth it. My investment has always been like pushing this channel and putting money back into the channel. I bought gear. I bought,
Right.
you've seen my microphones get better. You've seen my my cameras get
Your
better.
backgrounds.
I bought a MacBook Pro, started actually doing some editing. Like my investment has always been the channel. I think people think that I have weight in. I try to put my weight into what I say, and I just don't. Like I just don't care. Like
Right.
uh, I I occasionally I'll sell something or buy something with the intention of investing, but really like it's all to hopefully spend money on the channel. I have another space in the house that I'd like to kind of transform into studio space and need money for it. So like I'd like to do that at some point. So like
Right.
everything I do is kind of I think that's a big misunderstanding.
It's funny that you say that because I didn't really get a chance to watch like a ton of Kitchen Table TCG or Louie content before we started interacting as
Yeah.
people and became friends. So when people say and you hear any kind of perception or you talk about this perception that you have yourself or kind of what the community has, I've never had a chance to see you that way. So it's really funny to hear you say that because I've known from the start. I used to like hang playmats like
Yeah.
in the background and stuff like that, and we get Flesh and Blood posters from our LGS and stuff that just hang behind us. One of our big pieces is the gigantic Sarah Bolton that stands like taller than me, and we got just lucky enough to have an LGS given to us.
Yeah.
And we're the same way. It's like these people who see you, oh, you have this money, or you're trying to move the market, or you're manipulating something, or when they talk about us, they're like, oh, you're just trying to get us to play this deck because you're going to play the counter deck at this event and stuff. We're like, guys, that's not the case at all. And when people see you kind of through the screen and don't know you as Louie, they know you as the Kitchen Table TCG guy or something like that. It's so much easier for them to flip that switch and say, you must have evil intention. You're like, no, man. I like to talk about cards and hang out in my basement. It's sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I don't know. I try to like, the other thing is I got the patrons and like, I want to provide them with good stuff. Like I want to provide them with value and like, I want them to feel like they are. So I try to get different products. Anything that I feel like anybody is interested in, I'll try to at least offer it to as much as I can. And like, I don't know, man. Like that part of it's frustrating.
Dude,
but
that's
like,
a stress. The Patreon thing that you just said, we're always constantly like, we want to give these people who are going out of the way, dude, they're giving us their hard-earned money to support us, like to pay for the content that they love. And you're like, oh my God, I just want to give these people everything that I can. You're like, every day it's like, is it enough? Is it enough?
Right.
Is it enough? It's,
Yeah. And I don't know if you've had people start leaving your Patreon yet, but like, at the end of every month, like I have to like just not look at it because I get sad, and not because of the money that I lose. No,
it's people dropping out of the community.
It's either that, but more for me because I internalize everything. Like everything this is why George always tells me not to read the comment section because I'm horrible. But like I internalize everything and make it 100% my fault. Somebody leaves a Patreon, they can leave a nice comment and say, hey man, I just don't have the money to support you this. And like my brain goes to, I failed and I didn't provide enough value. And like, there's so much truth outside of that, right? Like he probably just didn't have enough money to pay for the Patreon. That's fine. He rather go get a Burger King burger this week instead of like, and that's fine. That's completely great.
Right. It's
but
fair.
like for me, like I'm like, no, I let him down. I disappointed them. I said something wrong. And like for me, like it just hurts. Like it hurts me because I am so driven to please people and to make I'm just driven to do that. Like that's just what I want to do. So yeah, I don't know. That's just where I feel like people misunderstand me.
It's just funny. I can't have this conversation. Like John and I could talk about this together, but it's hard to find someone else you can have this conversation with where you're just like, I'm so stressed about these strangers that I don't know talking like about me. And then, it was such a big, because again, I look thicker on camera and stuff. So my wife's big thing was when people would pop in the YouTube comments and like call me a fat guy or something like that. She'd be like,
people did that?
Oh yeah, Louie, come on. What are you new? Wow, you didn't. Wow, you must be.
Nobody called me the fat guy.
Oh, they didn't say, they never said that. They were like, man, that guy could stand to lose a few or something like that, or just like all this stuff. And my wife was always like, she was always like, who are these people? And I was like, are you new to the internet?
Don't ever let your wife read the comment section.
No,
that is the worst idea you can do.
Right.
My wife this past weekend, she's like, what's wrong? I was like, I'm not even going to tell you.
Oh, this last weekend.
I'm not even, like, I don't even want to talk to you about it because she would just get too mad. She would get too angry and she would want to get involved. And like,
right.
This isn't and like, anyway.
So since you brought it up, I told my wife about this. I was laying on the couch and I was sitting there reading. I was like, what happened last night? Like I slept for one night and things popped off, and I told my wife the story, and she goes, that's ridiculous. None of that makes sense. I go, I know. This is just BS. So my wife, who knows nothing about this, it was like, That poor guy. He's like, is he okay? I was like, I'll call him. And
You did, and I
that's what I
appreciate that,
called
man.
you.
That's nice. That
So,
meant a lot. That meant a lot to me.
all right. So you've had, now that you're gigantic YouTuber megastar,
Barely
pumping
bigger than you.
pumping
Barely
the
bigger.
market,
Yeah.
ruining all of our cards. And you said earlier, you're like, hey, ask me the hard questions. It's fine. I like that. All right, man. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh,
What's your favorite TCG?
Flesh
Louis,
and blood.
what's your favorite?
100%.
What is your favorite TCG?
100% flesh and blood. It's
Do
my
you,
favorite trading card game.
do you think people sometimes forget that?
Oh yeah, dude. Look, my channel. Well, so like this is weird. I was thinking about this when I was explaining when I was saying my favorite part was the community.
Right.
Back before Monarch, I remember doing a video where I said, look, like Monarch release is gonna be rough. The Monarch release is gonna be rough, and a lot of it had to do with COVID. I said, and our community is gonna get angry. Because and what I thought was that nobody was going to be able to get boxes, and that's like was somewhat true. Like nobody was able to get boxes,
Sure.
and so I was just thinking about that. Like, what's the difference now in our community? And like, for me, the difference is that at the time I didn't know anything. Like at the time I was so blinded by like what was in front of me in cards, and I didn't have the relationships. I wasn't a store. Like I'm a store now.
Right.
And like being a store, you start to hear and see, and now that I have whatever subscribers and whatever patrons, like people message me every day with like, hey, I just saw this happen. I was just able to get this from distribution. And like I feel like the veil has been like brought up for me. Like I can now like because of just connections and like I see some things that are different. And I feel like on my channel I started off by being really honest. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is who I am, and like it would be disingenuous for me to not do like honest content when I see something. So I always try on my channel um to be on like when like I have no intentions of like trying to be like sponsored or whatever. Like when I saw Channel Fireball doing things that I thought were shady, like I had no problem calling that out.
Sure.
Like and I think what's happened for me is that as I've learned what it feels like to be a store, like I think if I wasn't a store, I would be a lot more positive. If I was just a
Hmm.
collector, just a player, just a but because I'm a store, I feel like I see things or I hear things or I have a different relationship with the game now that makes me want to advocate for its success. Makes me want to. I don't just see the game as a player. I don't just see the game as a store or as a collector or investor or whatever. Like now I see the game in this different way that like I feel like I have more connected to its success. The channel, like if Flesh and Blood doesn't succeed, my channel dies. Like my
Not
channel,
just yours.
right?
It's
My
yeah.
patrons, I'm sure some patrons will follow me to whatever is if I keep doing content, probably not. Like if Flesh and Blood goes away, like I'm probably not doing content. Like what am I gonna do? Like
Yeah.
I just don't.
Does that make you
I
want to
think
expand into like other stuff, like that fear? Because we're going through something. It's not a fear. Like that realization made us expand. Like we're doing MTG Arena streams occasionally throughout the week on
yeah.
our Twitch because not only do we like to play other things, but that fear and that weight is there. Like my fate's in someone else's hands. It terrifies me.
So like I do things that people send me cards all the time. They ask me to cover their game. I usually say no. Like I don't want to get into what games have sent me stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. That's fine.
uh, like people send me stuff all the time, and I say no. What I do say yes to is things that I hear my patrons talking about in the Discord server.
Right.
What I like, obviously I have started doing some MetaZoo stuff, and like
Have
for
you
me, I have, yeah.
really?
Uh, and for me, like the decision to start doing a MetaZoo tracker was really difficult because I knew that some people would be upset about it. But at the end of the day, my patrons were asking for it. And the market was moving and it was interesting. And if something is interesting that my patrons were interested in, I wanted to do it. Um, And so like I started doing that. And like my channel will always be primarily a Flesh and Blood channel.
Right.
But like the fact of the matter is that Flesh and Blood goes through these droughts where they don't have a release or they don't have
But not
you
just
know
Flesh and Blood. Everything that isn't
every
Magic
game
and isn't releasing things every half day or
every
whatever.
every 6 minutes.
Yeah.
But like even Magic, like you get bored talking about
You get
the
burnt out. Like there's only so much standard you can play. Like
right. And like so for Flesh and Blood, like there's days where I'm like, what video do you want me to make? Like, what am I supposed to do? You want me to make something up? I make 14 Flesh and Blood videos a week. That's hard content to do. Like, that's a lot of content. And like making those videos, like there's days where it's just like, I'm just putting out crappy content. So like covering other games allows me to grow the channel. It allows me to grow into other realms. And I think it's good. Like, I know everyone thinks it's bad. That's fine. I think it's good. Like if I do a Pokemon video and get Pokemon fans on the channel and they start seeing Flesh and Blood and the collectability of it, if I do a Magic the Gathering video and I start getting some Magic
right.
the Gathering fans and
Right.
they get like cross cross platform whatever.
Cross
If
population, cross pollination. That's it. Cross pollination.
I
Boom.
think it's a great thing. I know. I mean, you're gonna get people disagree, and that sucks. I again, I internalize everything, so I start saying, "Am I doing something wrong? Am I doing something wrong?" But again, I hope my transparency has been simply that like I enjoy these things. Like I don't do content for things that I don't enjoy
Right.
until I start talking about Magic the Gathering sometimes. Like that's like, that's
You
what it
you and
is.
Dennis, every time I bring up Magic, just like berate me into the ground. I'm like, guys,
I love dude,
it's been a
I
game around
secretly
for
love
30
Magic.
years for a reason. You're both like, no, it's terrible. I'm like, I don't think it's that
It's
bad.
been around 30 years because it was the first to market. That's why it's been around for 30 years.
That's why it would be around for 10 years, not 30.
Yeah.
It's got
Anyway,
has to have done something right. Anyway,
sure.
I
I
I
I
align with you on that. I think it's definitely not a bad idea to have people. We talk about the player collector spectrum on our channel all the time. Like no one person involved in Flesh and Blood is like just a player or just a collector, and very few TCG like enthusiasts or like gamers or nerds like us or geeks or whatever the hell you want to call us now. All right, I said a bad word, but whatever you want to call us now. We have multiple interests. They branch out, and
bad
we might get to yeah.
nerds is a bad word now?
That's not the one I said, but that's fine. But
Oh, I didn't hear what else you said.
yeah, you're just so used
Anyway,
to just filth. But we're into so many things that it seems silly to pigeonhole yourself into one. And we're the same way. We'll always be primarily a Flesh and Blood channel. But why not explore some of these other TCGs or some other things that we think is just fun, right?
competition is so good. It is so good. Look, I love Flesh and Blood. I love LSS, but there are things that are going on that they need to fix if they want to have long-term success in the world.
Sure.
And like that's fine. That's the every single company. If that wasn't the case, LSS would be doing something way worse.
This is what
If
people don't understand. When you make that statement right there, I'm stopping you.
yeah,
Because when you make that statement right there, it seems like you're attacking us, and you're not. I understand that because there are things Hometown TCG needs to improve on and needs to fix. And I think we're doing an okay job. We're growing,
yeah,
we're moving along, but we know there are things we need to fix and we need to get better at. And we take that and we go, okay, opportunity to improve things and bring more people in. You hear that. You hear there are things Kitchen Table TCG needs to get better at. And you're like, cool, now I know I have a direction. But when you say that about LSS, everyone just piles on and like just negativity. People watch the first 5 minutes of one of our town hall videos. They hear Dennis say like, I'm a FaB player for now. And the whole comment section's like, that top left guy is so negative. When he's the most positive one in the video. He's like, I love this game. I can't wait. Like, oh, sorry. It gets me like here. It's insane.
yeah. I mean, it's a great analogy. So like my microphone sucked for a long time on my channel.
Yep.
And
Been
I
there.
got better. And then somebody was like, "Hey, your microphone sucks again." And like I communicated with them in the comment section and said, "Hey, I'm sorry. I will fix that. We made a mistake. We will fix it." And like then the next week I bought a new microphone and here we are. And like that's because I'm glad that that person spoke up because I didn't watch the video and I wasn't paying attention and something slipped through the cracks. And
Right.
like I I won't like my life lives or dies by the success of Flesh and Blood. I have quit my job. I have
Right.
burnt. I didn't burn bridges, but hypothetically, I have burnt bridges. They
I
have
call
hired somebody else to replace me.
I
So
have
like that
called people some names.
that bridge is burned. And like, listen, Flesh and Blood is the success of Kitchen Table TCG. Like that is what's gonna happen.
Yep.
And so when I feel like things are, and again, like a lot of people, I'm not trying to like boast, but like because of the channel and because of the relationship I have with the community, people send me stuff and they send me screenshots of stuff. And like they send, and I can't always share those things because they send it to me, but like there are things that need to be fixed because people are upset about them. Big people, stores, whatever. And when there's issues that need to be fixed, I think they need to be talked about. And I believe that that is a responsibility of a content creator is, the news. You don't want to only hear negativity on the news, right? Like,
No.
they always give you a nice story too and whatever. And I try to do that on the channel. I try to find nice things to talk about. I feel like the people who think I'm only negative probably only watch the negative
They
videos.
watch the first 5 minutes before you propose a solution to the
And
or
I
say what you
always
love or
try,
yeah.
yeah,
Dude, you do.
always try to
You're
propose a
great
solution.
about that. You always
Always
have
try.
something solved or
Yeah.
your opinion how something could be solved.
Well, the other issue with Louie, with me, is like
Oh, we're third person now. Okay.
yeah, third person now. Other issue with this guy right here is that I am like my wife, man, it's tough. Like I'm a problem solver. Like that is the first, like when she tells me her problem or something that's going on, like it goes in one ear into like the processing center and like it skips the heart part. Like it skips the
Yep.
the like,
The
hey, I
emotional.
love you part. Like
Yep.
I go to straight like that's solve the solution because that to me is going to make you feel good. And instead, like I need to go and talk to her and hold her hand and tell her I love her. And like I am a problem solver. And so like I have the same issue with my content probably where like, hey, there's a problem. It needs to be fixed. Let's fix it. Let's go. Like that's what I want to do. I want to be involved in the dialogue. I want to help you fix it, LSS, because I care about the game. And what I forget to do, and I've tried to do more of, and what I always should do, is be like, hey, I love you. Let me hold your hand and hear your heart. And then, but like in the real world, like this is also a business. There's also competition.
Right.
My wife has no competition.
Yeah,
Like
I know. Yeah.
there's no other girl. There's no other like there's no other competition for me and my wife. But for LSS there is other competition and that's why the urgency is there. Um yeah, and I don't think that Flesh and Blood's going anywhere. I don't think that there's any real competitive. Yeah, LSS is painting themselves as the competitive TCG, and I don't know that there's really any other competition there as a competitive TCG that is anywhere
You
close. Like even Magic, it's like not even. I don't know. Like
No, you just sabotaged me because I wanted to talk about the fact that
oh, I'm sorry.
I work in computers, and so again, in my household, it's the same thing. It's information comes in, the computer machine goes, and a solution comes out because that's what I do all day, every day, from like 8 to 5. That's
Yeah.
my entire world is solve these problems, and I often forget. Oh, there's a humanistic aspect to this, but then you said that Flesh and Blood is kind of setting itself up to be the preliminary or the primary competitive TCG. And
Yeah.
that brings me into I have a section here where I reached out in the hometown TCG Discord and I said to our I said to our patrons, I said, "Hey, I'm going to chat with Louie. I will ask him anything you want me to ask
Love
him."
it.
I said, "Whatever you guys want, I'm going to ask him." And one of the questions, actually the first question, I have it pasted here, potential Louie question in the patron question section. Casual players are the lifeblood of any TCG. LSS has done an amazing job sponsoring in-store play through Armory event skirmishes, callings, and the national process. Do you think the investment in competitive play is worth it? What unique value does the game have, or does having a competitive scene bring to the game? So that is one of our patron questions. So what do you think? Is all the investment in the competitive play worth it?
Let me practice what I preach. LSS, I love you and I love your game.
I'm
and
feeling my heart hugged right now.
and I am a huge fan, and I want this game to succeed. I think it's good. I think it's a way to drop a bomb, right? Like there's a hole in the TCG world, and that is competitive TCGs. Like,
Yes,
and,
100%.
and LSS has taken a bomb and they've dropped it in the middle of the the competitive TCG world, and that's huge, and that's going to get tons of attention. That's going to get tons of Twitter conversations with Magic the Gathering pros, and um, that's going to get a ton of stuff. And I think that's super good. And I think that's a I I think that I probably criticized a little bit of that being the way to start. And I think there's tons of negative to starting that way. You're seeing it right now with the judging in the competition, right? Like
Oh yeah, we have a FaB and
because
coffee planned about that. Yeah.
because of the way
Yeah.
that we're starting like this, there
Yes.
are negatives. And one of those negatives is that judges aren't experienced enough because the game's 2 years old. Like there's just not like they just don't have the experience. And that is one of the negatives. But the pros outweigh the negatives in this where like there's a massive hole and let's drop a bomb in the hole of like an amazing TCG. I think that LSS can do a much better job at providing casual play though. And that's where I get excited for things like PvE because I think they know this. I trust that they know this. Rudy has said it, so I'm sure that Rudy is saying it to them. I mean, Rudy has said it in his videos a million times. Competitive play doesn't matter. He's said it about Magic the Gathering about 18 times. Like competitive play is not going to be the thing that makes a trading card game successful. It will make it successful in your circles. It'll make it successful. The people who are commenting right now in the comment section, you're typing that I'm wrong. It will make it successful with you and your friends.
You think
It
we get
will
more viewers than we get? Look at you.
it will not make it successful to the entire masses. It won't make it the IP. It won't make it the brand. It won't make it the whatever. You need casual players who want to play it with their commander group. You need casual players that want to play it with their. This is, I mean, we're doing this ultimate pit fight thing that you're skipping out on tomorrow. Like this is why I wanted to do the ultimate pit fight regularly, so people can see people trying to play the game casually.
And having fun joking with their friends. That's the one thing that you
Yeah.
get a lot of. There's so much content on YouTube right now, and we're doing it too. And we try to take a break. We're doing Patreon deck lists, right? We're trying to mix it up, make it a little interesting. But there's so much like these are the top 8 decks, and these are two of the other top 8 decks. There's definitely a space, and we did this for like our Halloween stream where we're playing kind of meme decks and we're joking around, and we're maybe taking super risky lines of play, and we're playing 14 cards to do 8 damage, right? And things like that. There's not a lot of space for that, and so it makes you wonder: is the community lacking in players who currently want that, right? Or they're just not people who want it, or are content creators just not making it?
Like this falls on content creators, I think.
Okay,
And like this is why I wanted to do something different because I I don't know that Flesh and Blood is a good casual game. I have no clue, but it's my job to figure that out.
right.
It's my job until LSS says, "Hey, here's a casual format," and they kind of did that with Ultimate Pit Fight. I wish like I would like going to like I just said it was my fault. Going to ways that LSS can make this better or easier would be giving promos that are specific to Ultimate Pit Fight. Give a store a Ultimate Pit Fight. I don't know, Ultimate
Cokes a
Pit Fight.
commotion.
A cold foil coax a commotion that you can only get by playing Ultimate Pit Fight in your LGS.
Or if you're a
Um,
super YouTuber and buy them all.
no, I don't need that. I don't want that. Uh, I think that there are ways that you can promote that kind of play that maybe they haven't done that much. But I also feel like their attitude, which is not different from like the Magic the Gathering attitude, was like Commander was started by a group of people who wanted to see a different way to play the game.
Sure.
The problem is that Commander started 25 years after Magic the Gathering started, and in my opinion, Flesh and Blood doesn't have 25 years in order to start this if they want to be successful, because the world is casual play now. The world in 2000 was competitive play. Flesh and Blood or Magic the Gathering was on ESPN, and it was like it was all that.
Sure, but don't you think I want to counteract that really quick, because don't you think that there's a space? I mean, look at did you play video games at all, or did you play video games before you started all this stuff?
I played so many video games before my YouTube channel.
I know, right?
Just
did you ever play the video game League of Legends?
Silence. No, I was never good enough to play League of Legends.
Okay, but is there any games that you played that had an esports?
I played. So this is me. I played Destiny.
Oh, my dude, I had a couple buddies that were really into that, and I was just never good enough at it.
I
dragged them down.
This is me. This is Louie. This is Kitchen Table TCG. This is why I like P. I played Destiny, and I was horrible. It's kind of like Halo. I was pretty good at Halo 3, Halo 2 online, multiplayer.
Yeah, I was pretty good at Halo 2.
But then I went to college and I played Magic the Gathering. I stopped playing. But for Destiny, I loved the raids. Dude, I used to raid, like raids are PvE. It's you and a team of 5, or team of 6 total, you and 5 people. Yep. And you're doing things together to accomplish a goal. And you had to stand on the right pillars and you had to shoot. Everybody had to shoot the same thing at the same time. And then you had to shoot over here. And you're like, oh, I got this one. And you're like running. You're like, ah! And it was like super fun. And then like I would get on and I would play like in the Crucible, right? Not the Crucible of War, but like the Crucible for
like the PvP
Destiny, and I would get wrecked. Like I just don't have that skill. Like the person on person, I'm just not a good player of games. I'm terrible.
But okay, but you played this game and it had. Don't you think that Flesh and Blood or Magic or whatever it is? Because I played World of Warcraft, which I had a World of Warcraft subscription. And then I started Hometown TCG, and I canceled my World of Warcraft subscription because
let's start a World of Warcraft YouTube channel, please. Can we do it?
I'd be down. I would be.
That'd be so much
fun.
So
down, and I'm just gonna throw this on John's lap. Like, John, you go, John. He won't watch this video either. He'll make the thumbnail for it. He won't watch it. John, this is all your responsibility now. I mean, the paperwork still says I own 50%, but you got this.
Do you guys have paperwork?
Oh yeah, dude. We're an LLC. We're official. We have an EIN. We have business accounts and stuff like that. Yeah.
Wow.
I was really afraid of somebody like telling us, like when we had our first patron, and we didn't have that, someone was going to come and be like, "Oh yeah, you've just robbed all these people of their money and you're going to jail." I was like, I was so afraid of this thing. I was terrified. So I paid like $1,000 of my own money to like make it all official. And it's done nothing for us.
I guess I have the official paperwork too. It's just only my name on it. So I didn't think about having to do that with 2 people.
Yeah. There was a thing that was like, okay, who's the primary and who's the secondary? You have to fill out a certain thing to make it like not 51-49 to make it 50-50. And I always joke with John that since I did the paperwork, I did the other one. I did the 51-49 just as a joke. But anyway, we're so far off. But the esports scene, because this is important. The esports scene is like, there's so much money. Me and my brother got so into League of Legends. We were playing it all the time. We'd rage at people. We'd yell at each other and stuff. But we got so into this, and we were like, let's travel to LA. And let's go sit in on, like, the regional championships or, like, the finals or the LCS finals and stuff like that. Let's go watch it. So, essentially, we're in a stadium cheering and watching a video game on a screen, right?
Cool.
Right. And to us, that was, like, the most exciting thing. But realistically, I would watch the game and Kristen would be like, nothing's happening. I hate when you put this on because nothing happens. Long but millions and millions of people tune into this. When you watch card games, if you don't know what's going on, you look at it and you say nothing's happening. But there are hype plays and things going on and thought processes going on. Don't you think there's a space in the esports scenes? There's a slice of this multi-billion-dollar pie that could belong to TCGs, and that starts with a competitive scene.
Yeah, 100% I do.
But that's going to get that slice of that pie. Like, let's say LSS is able to successfully carve that slice of pie out. That now gets the eyes of Flesh and Blood instead of on thousands of people, onto millions of people. They find a way, the great production quality or something. But now you have those millions of people become casual players because your core pillar is that esports scene, is that highly competitive gameplay. Don't you think that's possible?
I think it totally is possible. I would ask the way I would view that, and this is where Louis sees things maybe negatively, and just my attitude would be, okay, how many people play competitive League of Legends?
Oh, tons of people play it competitively. They don't always play it competitively well, but they play it competitively. But I think the high level players draw. The reason I play is because I see these high level players like, I can do that and I can't. I
Yeah. I
can't.
guess the real question is like, how many people, this is a great question. How many people are involved in Flesh and Blood versus how many people watch Flesh and Blood content on YouTube? How many people
That's such
are,
a good question.
how many people are involved in League of Legends versus how many people watch those top tier content? My guess is that a very, very large portion of people who play League of Legends don't watch League of Legends content.
I would also
Um,
say, because like I sometimes watch content on the newest WoW patches and stuff, even though I can't play anymore. I don't have time. I still consume that content.
I might do that for RuneScape.
Ooh, okay. So another way we're similar. So it's just a thought. Like it
Look,
doesn't have to start at the kitchen
yeah,
table. I would like that's like the organic. That's a good story. But
I'm certainly biased.
yeah, and
I'm,
as am I because we this is one area where we see it slightly differently. But we
yeah,
both agree that it's like a
both are
building. It's all
both are
these
very
pillars.
important.
Yeah, all these
And
pillars are necessary to make a good
and,
game.
and I think I've said this on this video where like that's a great way to start. Drop the bomb in the place that there's a hole.
Right.
But like you need to give the people you need to give the people a way to invite their friends into the game who aren't competitive.
True.
And that's where I see PvE as an option. I think this is a great way to start. You got Channel Fireball on board, which again, there's pros and cons to every single thing. There's tons of pros to Channel Fireball. I've said them on my channel, and nobody listens to that part. They're only going to hear the cons. The pros of Channel Fireball is getting access to the competitive scene and to the events and to the whatever, and like that's a huge pro, and that's how you do that. And they're doing a really good job of that.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, that's I think we both agree it's necessary. It's
yeah,
you have to
it
have it
will.
all.
The Flesh and Blood is a really really tough game to play too, and so that's the right way to start it.
Right.
You got to find some easier ways to teach it, some easier ways to get people involved. Is all I'm saying.
That's like, yeah, if you try to teach a new, we won't go down the rabbit hole, but trying to teach like a person who has never played Magic before to play Magic and the stack and reactions and spell resolutions, it's insane. It's
Yeah,
so
but you don't
nuts.
need to do that. Like
No, I agree. I'm saying I
you don't
agree with you. It's nutty.
you don't need to do that with Magic. This would be my point. You don't need to do that with Magic the Gathering. You can teach them. You tap a land and you play the top card, and when you don't have when you have your cards of seven hands, when you have your hand of seven cards, you can only really do two options. There's really not that many. Magic the Gathering, you could teach a monkey how to play Magic the Gathering. It's not that hard. Flesh and Blood's a tough game. Like that's the difference I see there. You got to find a way to make it less tough, and I think you do that by giving a way for people to play together instead of against each other,
Okay.
so that you can hold each other's hands and teach each other how to play.
And that was actually that answers the second Patreon question. I'm going to mention it because I want our patrons to know we actually do ask the questions they ask us.
You
They
guys,
were
listen, you got to get twice as many patrons as me because you get two people. You get two people.
all
So
right. Well, thank you for your time.
let me give you a little pump to your patron because like you got to get two people. You got to get twice as many patrons as me.
This
I'm
just
only one.
this just flashes back to there's no money being made. We finally built like the gameplay studio. We were so proud of that we could do that like because the community allowed us to do that. Every time we sit there and play, we're like, "Oh my god, thank you guys so much. Like we have a table. It's great."
Yeah.
But someone wanted to know about with the anticipation of the addition of PvE. Does LSS have a unique opportunity to introduce casual players into some sort of like ladder style ranked league play with competitive prize support in PvE?
I sure. I don't think that's necessary.
Okay.
Just give people a way to play the game and learn and hold the cards. Give the person who wants to be a collector or investor a way to play the game without having to like be good at TCGs. Like,
Right.
like
Just let them.
not ever. Like, I suck, dude. I've been playing trading card games since 2010 when I went to college. I suck.
You don't
I'm
suck.
horrible,
You just
dude.
attack
I
me all the time. That's why I'm skipping Ultimate Pit Fight this week, by the way. It
you're
has nothing.
super,
It has
yeah.
nothing to do with my
You're
family coming
scared.
into town. It has nothing to do with my family that I haven't seen in months. It's because you bully me.
Yeah. Listen, man. I just think you need a way to get those people who are casual a way to play with the cards.
Sure.
And maybe I'm wrong, and maybe the game is easier to play than I make it seem, and maybe that's wrong. But for me, that's where I think that there's a huge opportunity. And then on top of that, it gives people another fun way to play a game, which is always healthy. Give people as many ways to play your game as possible. That's how, in my mind, that you succeed. Is like give them as many opportunities to touch the cards and to interact with the cards in the game, and that's a win.
Dude, I agree. And at this point, I think we've been going for over an hour, so I think that's a great that's a great point to stop. That's a great place to stop. I think we're just gonna see PVE soon, and I'm stoked. I'm playing PVE with you. It's happening. Is there anything else you want to say to any people out there that might watch this? It's nobody's watched this far into the video, so is there anything you want to say that nobody will ever hear?
Well, I just want to say make sure they support you guys because you guys are doing great stuff.
Okay, is there anything for real you want to say though?
So make sure they hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Look, dude, having somebody else say that on your channel is beautiful because nobody wants to to do it on their own
Dude,
channel.
it feels so horrible to constantly be like, remember to subscribe.
No, man, I love this community, and this is what I love this community. I love this game, and I think that in 20 years, when you look back on this stuff, we'll all be laughing and we'll all be like, oh, look, a lot of that was true. A lot of it was false. Look, Louie, they never made PvE and the game's still here. And everybody will be laughing at me because every year I'll say that the next set is going to be the set that they release PvE in. And that'll still be a joke in 20 years.
All right, so bet right now, if we don't have PvE in the next 2 years, Kitchen Table TCG and Hometown TCG will devise PvE gameplay. I'm
Listen, people are already doing that. I haven't really covered it because I think it's coming out in the next set. If PvE doesn't come out in the next set, you will see a lot of content.
I think a lot of people, yeah.
You will see me move a lot of my content towards these other people who are setting up fun gameplay like PvE.
Oh, sick. Well, then I won't have to do it. Great.
I think that's a huge I think that's a loss by LSS, honestly.
Yes.
I think that's what happened with Commander. Again, I'll say it again. It's because people had 20 years to learn how to play the game and find different ways to play the game. And Commander is going to compete with Magic or with Flesh and Blood right now. So I think it should be up to LSS if they want to be successful to create that. But if it doesn't happen this set, you'll see me do it with that stuff. I'm stoked about it, man. I think it'll be good.
I'm pumped. We'll play your campaign. And again, thanks for hanging out with us. Sorry we were late. The Twitch stream wanted to go.
I'm good.
So until next time, I'm glad people got to see this side of you. I'm glad people got to get to know a little bit about you, and I'm glad I got to flip the script and not be the one awkwardly answering questions and be like, "Oh my God, what's he gonna ask next?" I'm terrified. That was nice. That was refreshing for me.
That's great. Thanks for calling me fat, and to the guy that called you fat in your comment section, you're a jerk.
I see you. And until next time, you guys know me. My name is Josh. Oh, you never do this.
Louie?
You never do it. All you have to say is say your name.
And I'm Louie.
I'm ending this recording.